Hi, Tim.
Hi,
Hello.
Sophia. Hi, Nigel. Great to be here with you.
And with you,
Great
and
to
it's
be.
great to have you with us. We're here today celebrating our 20th year. ASNA's 20 this year. Can you believe it? I mean, you've been on our journey from very, very, very early on. And we're really happy to have you here, Tim, with us. Today, particularly, is our Sabbath, but it's also a fantastic day to be able to celebrate the ministry. And I know you've been involved. I'm not even sure how long you've been involved in the disability ministry, Tim. You could just share that with us and tell us a little bit about Through the Roof. What a fantastic title.
Yeah, so congratulations, ASNA, on 20th anniversary. It's a great privilege to celebrate with you. I was thinking about how long I've known of ASNA, and I think I've been with Through the Roof for 15 years now. And I think I came across ASNA and Sophia, met you, I think in 2007 at a Churches for All event. And that was the first time sort of we met, and it was great to connect then. And I think we've been on that journey since then. And I guess I'll talk a bit more about that. But just in terms of what Through the Roof is, named after the Bible story where the four friends are so passionate, so determined to get their friend who's disabled to Jesus that they just rip off the roof. And they lower him into the front, into the feet of Jesus. Just a lovely picture of just what we as Christians could be about, really, just with a passion, with a determination of just enabling disabled people and others, of course, to meet with Jesus. And what's beautiful about that story, I think, is right by the end of it, it's not just a man himself whose sins had been forgiven, who was healed and went out walking, but everybody. They said we've seen amazing things today. So that disabled person meeting with Jesus, with the passion of those four friends, that enabled everybody's attitude to change and just to praise God. Basically, everyone was praising God by the end of that story. So yeah, that's I guess that's what the heart of Through the Roof is all about, really.
Lots of Bible stories, but that one, as you say, Tim, is particularly special. And as I say, I always reference Through the Roof because I think it was an inspired choice of a name, because for me, it also speaks about as soon as we allow people to come before Jesus, as soon as they're lowered into the center of Jesus, their potential goes through the roof as well.
Absolutely.
And I really been inspired by the leadership within Through the Roof. So could you tell us a little bit about how the ministry has touched people's lives? Just give us a little bit of background of how over the years Through the Roof has managed to touch people's lives with that vision.
Yeah, so I guess it works out in, I suppose, three different ways. I mean, our big vision is that we want the world to be a place where every person lives together, enjoys life together, mutually giving and receiving. That's the crucial part. It's about that mutuality, that every single person is created in God's image. That's what we're told in Genesis chapter 1, that God created everyone in his image, which is mind-blowing in itself. But just, every single person reflects the image of our creator God, and so as a result of that, we all have a part to play. And for us, we just want to really encourage disabled people into those positions of responsibility, into leadership, and that's growing throughout the organization. But I guess there's three ways that we sort of roll out the vision, and it's quite easy to remember. It's sort of faith, freedom, and friendship. And faith, I mean, it underpins everything that we do as a Christian charity. But essentially, the key part of our sort of faith element is working with churches to encourage churches to say, look, come on, guys, there's more to church than just as it is now, we can expand and reach out to those who are on the margins, who are overlooked by society, who are forgotten about by society, and actually they have a part to play as well. And in fact, quite often, as the Bible story tells us, you know, lives are changed as a result of that. So we do that through our Roof Breakers initiative. So disability champions in churches, and we have 320 or so currently, really trying to push that on and to get more roof breakers around the country, just being a champion for disabled people in their churches. And so we provide free resources, free training, to equip those with a heart for reaching out for disabled people. So that's our faith element. The freedom aspect is very much about overseas work, so international work, short-term mission trips, taking old wheelchairs, refurbishing them, either in a prison workshop or in our own warehouse with volunteers, shipping those out to see overseas, and then providing a team of physiotherapists, occupational therapists, people who are techie minded, and just assessing disabled people to fit them with the right wheelchair or mobility aid, and also giving them a Bible in their own language so they can read God's word, but also an opportunity for prayer as well. So, and that's we've surpassed 11,000 wheelchairs that we've given out over our 24 year history. And then the final element, the friendship element, is very much about sort of supported groups, supported holidays and retreats. Obviously, that's all online at the moment, but that's in the past. That's been a big part of you know, people coming together with Jesus at the centre, and just working together to enable each other, to support each other, to be a blessing to each other, to see that Creator God's image in people, to just value people for who they are in a setting that we can support them in. So that's the friendship element. So that's in a nutshell.
I mean, that is a really, that's a huge amount of work in a nutshell, but some work that we know Through the Roof has been doing for so many years. And just before I answer the next question, I just wanted to ask, you know, you mentioned that it was over 320 disability champions, which is phenomenal, and then 11,000 wheelchairs. How has this ministry been affected by COVID?
Yeah, I guess there's sort of two ways. One a positive and one's a negative. Obviously, you know, when COVID hit, pretty much half the activities we were doing had to stop. So obviously no holidays, no groups, no retreats, that all had to stop. No overseas mission trips. The Roof Breakers still they were, you know, operating online, but they were still working in their context, and we've had people sign up over the year as Roof Breakers, so that's continuing, which is great. But the overseas mission, we went to online. We tried something and it has worked, thankfully, but we still sent a container of wheelchairs to some partners working in Uganda, working in the refugee camp there, and there's just so many disabled people there at the refugee camp that they work with them. But so we sent this container of wheelchairs, but then normally we'd send a team to go and assess and fit the disabled people with a chair, but obviously this time that couldn't happen. So we linked up with the team who had undergone the training, the qualifications for wheelchair fitting, and also had hosted us before, so they knew kind of what it was about, but they just perhaps didn't have that confidence up until now to sort of to lead a distribution. And so our team were there on WhatsApp, on audio, on video calls, photographs, text, just back and forth, just trying to sort of get that sort of for us empowering local people and just supporting them in that, so they can then best fit disabled people with a wheelchair. And I think we saw over 200 disabled people, 23 people gave their lives to the Lord. It was just a phenomenal time, and we're going to do another distribution in a couple of months' time or so. So yeah, really, that's a significant change.
that's a silver lining to COVID, isn't it? Really, and I think really that you've been able to expand your ministry, as well as obviously the specialists coming from here over there. Now they're, because they train them up, they just needed to support them to actually execute the work that they're training them with, and that's fantastic news. Really, really, really pleased to hear that. And the work that Through the Roof has been doing over the years has been phenomenal. And as a small child, when we first started back in 2001 or whenever it was, you were one of the first organizations we were encouraged to connect with. So I don't know if you can remember back then, and maybe how the work that you've been involved with, whether you could just share with us your memories really of the early days with ASNA.
Yeah, I mean, say I joined Through the Roof in 2006, so that, I guess, that sort of time was when I sort of came in. So ASNA was, I guess, what, 5-6 years old when I sort of first met with yourselves. But I think for me, two things really stand out, and I mentioned the Roof Breakers, the Disability Champions. That very much came from being inspired by what you guys had done, your disability coordinators throughout the country, and that was something that just sort of had a light bulb moment when you mentioned that, and I just thought, wow, yeah, that's great that a church is actually so committed that they are rolling out this program of disability coordinators throughout the country. And for me, I thought, yeah, we need to replicate that. We need to do that for all the churches, basically. So that's really sort of inspired Through the Roof to take on that sort of encouraging roof breakers to get involved. So that's one big thing, definitely for me, that inspired me from ASNA. But the second thing, really, just I've been to a couple of events, I guess, with ASNA, and just for me, just the warmth and the acceptance and the hospitality, really, is the welcome that I've received from those events, from you guys and from everyone that I've met. It just feels like it should be, it feels like church, that's how it should be. We're friends, we're family together, and we're all different personalities, shapes, sizes, colors, whatever, abilities, disabilities, but actually at the end of the day, as I said, we're all created in God's image, and we just need to recognize that in each other. And I think, just the blessing that I've had received from ASNA events has been great. So that one just stays with me, definitely.
That's really, I love the fact that one of your values and one of your core things you spoke about was friendship, and that you mentioned that as well, because of course for many people, and it comes from the story, because for many people they just have carers. Yeah. But you mentioned how in Luke 5, this story of a man who had 4 friends so committed to him that they didn't go to church by themselves. They took him along. So I wanted to kind of explore this theme about friendship for people who are on the margins, and what the church is looking like in your estimation. Are we moving towards this outdated model of paternalism, where we just look down and look after, in terms of bringing people into friendship and belonging?
Yeah, I think the church has improved. I think things are moving forward, not as much as we'd like. Definitely that's not the case, sadly. I mean, I think 2012 was a big step change for the church, the Paralympics in London, in the UK. I think the church saw actually that disabled people were right there in front of their eyes, and actually almost there was a bit of a wake-up call, and I think that point seemed to be a sort of a definite sort of change, where I think in the past we've always been sort of banging on the doors and saying, look, we need to reach out to everyone, and it just didn't seem to resonate perhaps as much as we'd have liked it to have done. But I think 2012 that did shift. I think things have changed. I think it's now on church's radar. I think definitely people are, churches are aware. They want to reach out to disabled people. They want to provide what they're doing in an accessible, inclusive way, which is great. I still think there's perhaps a little bit of to go in terms of this element of friendship and just valuing each other. I mean, I certainly, I've got friends who just various disabilities, and I guess it just have to get so much from that friendship. Just they have a different perspective, and I don't know, it just adds value to my life. And I think if people recognise that and see that, then that can only be a good thing. I think one thing that really, I think we Through the Roof are called to do in this sort of next season, very much about, I think I alluded to it earlier, about encouraging disabled people into positions of responsibility and leadership. I think the Bible is again clear that everyone has spiritual gifts. Really wonderful passage from 1 Corinthians chapter 12, talking about one body. But there's a little line there, I just love this. It says that those that seem to be weaker are indispensable. And there's just so much to that. That's like, first of all, people who seem to be weaker. So perhaps disabled people, they might seem to be weaker physically or intellectually or emotionally or whatever. So it's only appearance. It's only they seem to be weaker. They aren't actually weaker because they are indispensable. And if that's true, and I believe the Bible is true, then we need to recognize that and say, okay, well, we need to nurture the gifts, the skills, the talents, the abilities of everybody, even if at first it doesn't seem quite apparent. Just in terms of being people's presence is because they've been created in God's image. That is a gift. And I think one of our trustees, his daughter, very severely disabled, non-verbal, but her smile just lights up the room. And he said to me that, she has that ministry of just encouraging people just through her smile. I mean, that is just wonderful, so if we can recognize the gifts of disabled people in that way, boy, well, we could just change the world, couldn't we?
Totally.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you.
I mean, Tim, just sitting and listening to you, it's just so inspiring. And I think the whole of the Through the Roof itself is an inspiring organization, because we've worked very closely with you over the years, and we've met some of your other team members. I think there was one fantastic young lady, I think she's now married, if you remember. She was very good at training our coordinators, visual impairment training. She was fantastic. Remind me of her name.
Philippa.
And Philippa, I'd love to catch up with her at some point. But you have leaders. This is what I love about Through the Roof. You empower leaders to be the trainers. So, Philippa was brilliant at, helping us understand about the importance of reaching people with vision impairment. And we know that Churches for All, which is another sort of group of charities from which, ASNA is also part of, which is a wonderful group, aims to work together in the different areas of the different needs, or whatever you want to call it, different ministries, to ensure that everybody has a place in ministry and mission. And I think that's really what Through the Roof is all about, and that's what we're about, what ASNA is all about. So, Tim, thanks again for celebrating with us ASNA's 20th year. We're 20 years this year. It's a big deal. 20 years taking you along with us, because we have used so many of your resources. We thought, why reinvent the wheel? And your resources are absolutely fantastic, and we always encourage each other. In fact, we have, we just carry them and take them with us wherever we go to different churches, because we believe that what you have produced really has such a fantastic message, and we work closely together. We also run breaks, and we provide the training. But one of the things that I just wanted to mention as well is that Through the Roof is also involved with, is it Joni Erickson-Tada? I don't know if you want to say a little bit about her and how her involvement is with the UK element, or anything that you think would be helpful for our listeners to know.
Yeah, so Joni Erickson-Tada, she's an amazing woman, quadriplegic. She broke her spine in a diving accident, I guess 50 years or so ago now, and just really was a real pioneer in, I think it was the 70s or so that she started Joni and Friends. And just they have an amazing ministry across the USA, across the world. And it was actually on the back of a tour that Joni did in, I think it was 1997, around Europe, that's when Through the Roof started as a UK sort of affiliate of Johnny and Friends. And so we have good relationships with them. Sadly, Johnny can't travel now just because of health. I mean, she's come through 2 lots of cancer as well. Not only has she been has a quadriplegia, but she's had 2 lots of cancer, and she had COVID as well at Christmas. I mean, just amazing. She just has what God's brought her through, and she's fought off. Incredible lady. And yeah, I was hoping that I would have met her just last year. I had a sabbatical lined up, and then COVID hit, and sadly I didn't quite get to meet Johnny in the States. So maybe one year. But
yeah. I mean, she has, and I know they also have quite a lot of resources. Johnny and Friends Centre, I think it's called. Institute. Yeah. So it's just wonderful to know that these connections, Johnny and Friends, Through the Roof, ASNA, or the other organisations, that there is ministry that is there for people to access. And I think that's really why we shouldn't really be needed, shall we say, but actually we are, and we thank God for what we're doing and the fact that we are working together as 2 organisations to empower people to be ministers in ministry. So Tim, thanks very much. This is a 20. Thank you for joining our Leaders 20. We're interviewing 20 people who have impacted the work of disability ministry and have worked with us, and we really hope that we continue. Well, we do continue to work together, and we look forward to projects that we continue to do together. We've spoken actually quite recently about what we can do. So looking forward to seeing how that works forward. I don't know if Nigel, you want to say anything?
No, great. Thanks very much indeed, Tim, for the leadership that you've shown and for the friendship and the collaboration that we have had. We're both on a single focused mission of making sure that those on the outside are brought to the center, and that roofs are smashed, and that people's potential is increased as they interact with us, but most importantly with Jesus Christ as well. So thank you for that, and looking forward to the next project. But thank you for the time as well, because I think you would have inspired other people as well, that what is possible when we smash roofs. Thank you.
Well, thank you both. It's been a privilege to be here, and God bless you for your continued work, and look forward to catching up in person hopefully soon.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.